almost exactly the opposite in terms
Unless
of the last
it's
game.
mid-Jace.
Which is definitely a possibility. I was going to mention that, you know, considering the Akali into the Camille, you like that one a lot more. She's a lot more survivable under turret than the Jace is going to be. And they will swap it out last second. The Jace is also going to be able to put up with Ryze in the early game a lot better. I like this setup more because the Ryze is going to have free push. You're going to have control of the top side of the map too. That gives you the opportunities with those Realm Warps and the Volleyball pick to get ahead very easily. But if you swap these two champions, then it becomes a little bit more complicated here for Frederick to execute that dive top side. And we can still see lane swaps within the game. Like, there is a possibility we actually see those traded between mid and top.
Well, I mean, theoretically, yeah, we could. As, of course, solo laners are starting to become solo laners rather than mid and top laners. But right now, of course, Chovy playing this one a lot, the Jace in the mid lane. Showmaker dabbled in it as well, just a little bit, but it's been a while since we've seen Jace make his way into mid. Bertel, of course, having a great game on the Akali. I like sticking to something that he was very strong at. But now he has to deal with the Camille. Rhyme not intended. As the players make their way onto the Rift for game number 2. Frederick wanting to even out the series, make it into another best of 3 between these two squads. And Damwon Kia wanting to get match point very early on with a possible 2-0 start after this game.
That is the game plan here.
Ooh, best skin choice here for Canyon as well. Spooky Ghost Nocturne, my absolute favorite.
It's really interesting how the Nocturne can operate into a comp like what Frederick Brion are running, because it's very low range. You've got the Ryze, the Aphelios as your kind of carries. Your top laner is going to be looking to aggressively hex tech forward and try to lock down the Ziggs or the Jace, you know, if you can get that close in. But that allows Canyon to actually ult the backline when those melee champions go in. Volibear tries to go in, Morgan tries to go in, and then suddenly Canyon just flies over the top of your head. You can't see while you're engaging when he pulls that ultimate out, so you're both unable to actually frontline and look for those picks, and then your backline is completely exposed. I really like this pick into what Frederick Brion are running for that reason. Just have ultimate control over, you know, the way the team fights are going to be shaped, especially if you get ahead in the early game.
Yeah, I think Frederick Brion are going to have to play very, very well around their carries, making, well, their carry, right? It's going to be mainly on Henna. He's the one that needs to do a lot of that consistent damage. His range isn't massive, and he's against a Ziggs and a Jace. As Hook is going to land here in this early game, as Kellen just, he's going to be fine.
Sad present.
Yeah, a bit of a sad present of Mumu.
And, you know, I mean, I'm really curious to see how this laning phase goes between Lava and Showmaker, because it's a very different one than the ones we've seen in the past with the Jace. You know, Jace has played into all sorts of weird mid laners last year, including the Nocturne, and some other champions that were flexing the Lee Sin that we saw played mid last year too. And into this Ryze matchup, you know, it's a lot closer than the Akali. Like, look at, I mean, if you look at the minimap, you can see Showmaker is actually trading back aggressively, and Akali would just kind of be sitting under turret being like, well, this is just how it's going to go for these first few levels. So I do like this swap of lanes.
Yeah, first strike being taken by the Jace in the mid lane, just to make sure that he can maximize the amount of damage that he's able to do. Next tech sweep here onto Bertel, who is going to be pushed in the early game. Not necessarily the time for the Akali. Great little trade there for Morgan. Does take a turret shot though, as Showmaker will lose out on that trade at least. 100% win rate on the mid Jace so far, 3-0.
Yeah.
We mentioned that he dabbled in it. Dabbled pretty successfully, as it turns out.
And this was during, obviously, a very dominant era of Damwon Kia, where, you know, he was winning with basically everything. He also is our biggest champion pool mid laner that we showcased earlier on the pre-show.
Yeah.
I think this is his 16th now this season.
17th.
17th, okay.
If we include playoffs in regular season, yeah.
Insane.
It's definitely a large one.
Okay, here's the first dive towards bottom side.
Yeah, trying to capitalize here. Zumpty and Lava, both of them going to move on in the flash. Wastes absolutely no time to Zumpty, as it is going to be first blood going over to the Aphelios. It's exactly what bro needed, as Kellen flashes on top of Lava, gets his flash out. And that is actually great. You'll trade flash and ignite for a flash on the mid lane. There's a possible avenue now
and
for Damwon to attack.
Showmaker's going to be trying to get some plate gold here in the mid lane. I don't think he'll be able to get it quite on this first trip, but he's going to significantly get a lead here in terms of the laning aspect of this game. And the Realm Warp plays that we can see with this Volibear can be illustrated before Realm Warp is online. You can actually do this at level 4 as Lava if you have enough control over the lane, which at this moment he did. Jace had just teleported back. If you see at the summer spell at the bottom, he had just returned to lane, so Lava had that extra prio, takes his opportunity here to dive. And yes, it's a flash that is picked up here from Kellen, and he trades back a kill, but the most important part of this is the Aphelios gold. He gets first blood, and that's the most significant exchange here. Leona picking up a counter kill isn't as important. And that flash that's lost for Lava, yes, you know, you feel good about that, but isn't as significant at the end of the day. So definitely a huge trade up here for Frederibrion.
Yep, nicely done. Getting money on the Aphelios, just a brilliant thing. Right now you can see as well, Morgan has the lane in a perfect position. Bertel is going to be walking his way back. Looking like he wants to hold on to the TP, which I find very interesting as Delight's going to move forward. Docton taking a lot of damage, has to flash.
Graviton power right there, and this is why you see Aphelios Nautilus, Aphelios Leona in the early game against champions like the Ziggs can be such a big threat, as he doesn't really have any way outside of his satchel charge of getting away in moments like this. You mentioned Duckdom having a phenomenal performance on the Ziggs so far. He's 4-2 on the champion career-wide here in the LCK. As, you know, plays like this, getting rid of that flash means when the Realm Warp play comes up in a minute with Umpty on this volley barrel, when he comes over, tries to turn that turret off, being flashless is such a huge problem as the Ziggs. And Aphelios isn't going to need a flash to make that dive play happen. The Ziggs is going to probably need it to escape.
Yeah.
Or he's just going to get zoned out of farm, which happens a lot.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's the fact that Frederibrion are actually playing super aggressively with this composition in the early stages of the game. Of course, Ryze and Volibear, two champions that want to have mid-game dominance. And they're setting up for that win condition now. It's not necessarily Frederibrion's forte, but it is certainly something that they can try to play around with this composition. Red-white guns here available for Henna. And Delight just lying in wait, trying to get more done. And we know that Delight, when he's on, he is so extraordinarily good. Let's see whether the Nautilus is going to be a harkening back to that.
Yeah, I mean, last game he had some great moments for sure when the game was even, and in the mid-game, you know, was caught a little bit, didn't have as great of a time, but in the early parts of the game last time, he was definitely feeling himself a little bit on the Recon. And in the second game, he's going to be pressing his R button to the fullest of his capabilities to do so when the Volibear runs in. And so in moments like this, when you have this wave pushed in, Lava's not seen on the map, like this is where you can threaten Duckdom. Notice how far back Duckdom is standing right now because he just does not know where Umpty is, doesn't know where the Ryze is right now.
Yeah.
And this is the power of compositions like this into someone like a Ziggs, or a champion like a Ziggs.
And it's also like about playing into a Nocturne as well, who's so reliant on level 6.
Yes.
And Frederibrion have just identified the fact that they can do whatever they want until that point has been reached. Canyon very, very close to that right now. But already, Frederibrion being able to get themselves first blood is a good move. But we're talking about this like Frederibrion have it, you know, all under control. They don't have the gold lead right now, and so far, Darmonkia with a lot of control on the top side of the map and keeping things very even here in mid as well. So we can see Showmaker now able to pull ahead by a few CS.
And despite the, you know, dive working out, it still was an assist going over to Ziggs, and he's only a few CS behind, so it's not like he's just been removed from the game. Like, it wasn't that much of a successful shutdown. You know, sometimes we'll look at games like this where Frederibrion's behind and you're like, okay, but it's fine because the Ziggs doesn't exist. But he's actually just recovering very nicely. And now level 6 is hit for Canyon here.
Yeah.
And this is where the sparks can really start flying.
Well, speaking of flying, in comes the Nocturne, and that is a Mega Inferno Bomb to death. It's going to be the Nocturne that grabs the kill as well, and that's actually great news for Darmonkia, as immediately they strike back against Henna. And I was about to talk about the fact that the Aphelios, if he does get fed, it's so huge for Frederibrion because then he gets to fight off Canyon and doesn't necessarily die to him, especially if Severum's up.
Yep.
He had Severum crescendum, but it was just 100-0'd.
And that's going to be a plate going over the Ziggs, who deals with turrets so extremely well. Can just toss bombs out here to get his cooldown on his passive so he can hit that turret a little bit harder. That's 2 plates, and this is without Herald. Now, Umpty is taking that one right now, but you feel like you've already kind of equalized the value of the Herald that's going to go over here to Frederibrion because you've gotten 2 plates on a Ziggs, who picked up a second assist. As you mentioned, the kill did go over to Canyon, but it was a really nice engage from Kellen, and that's why this Leona Ziggs can be so powerful with a long-range jungler. You know, even something like a Zac, it works extremely well with this too, because if you hit the stun with the Leona, then you have the follow-up bomb, and the long-range jungle engage, it's just so clean. Like, watch how this happens. There's just a momentary lapse of judgment here from Henna, and then he gets hit by Zenith Blade, Solar Flare, Inferno Bomb, and the R button from Canyon all at once. Watch Canyon's perspective on this. He waits for the engage.
Yeah, like exactly the right range.
Hex Flash, boom. Everything is completely timed out.
Yep, and that's the follow-up, right? And so now Kellen can basically just engage at all times, and then Mega Inferno Bomb and the Paranoia come down, and they get to choose their targets, right? This is what this composition can do from ahead, especially. But the crazy thing is that Zig scales extraordinarily well at the same time, and in this composition, they have a huge range advantage just in general.
Yeah, and so many junglers that aren't relevant right now in this meta are relevant with comps like this. As Birdall gonna, that was a nice little shield back.
Very nice.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, you know, the Nocturne functions very similar to the Viego in a comp like this, where the Jace hits the poke, the Ziggs hits the poke, and then Viego gets in and gets the resets. But Canyon just kind of gets to press R on somebody, and then they die.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you got hit by a bomb. Like, there will be times later on in this game where Duckdom will ult Henna, and if Henna is hit by that, Canyon presses R and kills him. Speaking of killing.
Oh, yeah, Tactical Sweep comes down as Birdall is going to find the backflip. Morgan throws down the ulti, but the perfect execution's there. Morgan not going to have the Ignite take him down, but Birdall is going to stand his ground and win right now against the Camille. Great news for Damwon Kia, able to at least assert some dominance there towards the top side.
Another great summoner exchange favoring Birdall as well. Ignite for Flash, he'll take that any day of the week. And he's going to take it one more time here. It's starting to take about a 20 CS lead here. And as uncomfortable as he's looked at times on the Akali, not in this game, as Fredit Breon have control over this Drake. But once again, if this poke hits, they can engage.
Yeah, Solar Flare comes down. Paranoia's in as well, as Canyon is going to dive on top of the Drake. But Umpty is going to be able to lock that one down. Immediately Flash ults to get himself out of the way. Showmaker in a lot of trouble, but he's going to survive for the moment. The Infernum is not going to hit him. No one dies on the side of Fredit Breon or Damwon Kia. So theoretically, Bro walk away with the Drake, and all is fine.
Damwon Kia didn't have enough setup time to hit that poke like we were talking about to then execute a backline target. So even though the ult was really good there from Canyon, gets him on top of the Drake, he's not fast enough to do it in order to get the smite away. And obviously Damwon Kia could have lost that fight miserably if Showmaker's positioning wasn't so god tier in this fight. Because notice they have a moment where they're like, all right, we're going in. Solar Flare comes in, then the ult button is pressed, Canyon gets on top of the Drake, isn't able to smite it away. And then Fredit Breon collapsed onto Showmaker. He just barely lives with his ticking pot here. And Henna cannot hit him with the Infernum. If that hits, he dies, and Fredit Breon get the Drake and a kill. But at the end of the day, not going to happen that way. As Showmaker's perspective here, he's got a biscuit he's chewing through to survive. Always eat those.
You got to always eat your biscuits, everyone. Cookies will keep you alive. That's what I've learned from this moment. Of course, a little bit facetious there.
Fredit Breon do get true Drake lead from this, which is something they absolutely need to have in a game like this, is to have that tempo advantage. However, you know, finding themselves 600 gold behind right now, not ideal. The lead isn't big enough, but at least they're able to hold on to both objectives. If Damwon Kia wrestle that away and win that team fight, the momentum shift is insane, can't be overstated. But they still keeping the objectives in their hands. Now the Rift Herald to be dropped.
Yeah, well, 3 members here from Damwon Kia, wanting to try and lock this one down. They may actually just kill Shelly, as the hook is going to connect, and it's going to be the Nocturne falling down. So they trade Shelly for the jungler of Damwon Kia. So not exactly the same amount of money as if they had been able to hold on to the Shellfish as well. So Fredit Breon do manage to get a kill, but they get all of those plates denied. Yeah,
and killing the jungler at this moment in time isn't extremely important for Fredit Breon because there's no objective to fight over, nor are they really trying to gain vision advantages. They can, however, zone Duckdom out. As you can see, he's really struggling to get back to his turret, and Morgan had a really nice angle here to threaten potentially, but isn't going to find it. But notice that Duckdom is zoned away from minions here. He will eventually be able to catch some of these as the turret goes down, but this means Henna is guaranteed basically all of these plates. Uses his ultimate to get some of those minions.
Yeah, the Canyon is going to be there as we're fighting over a blue buff as well. Paranoia as Canyon just comes back. It is going to be the blue buff secured by Canyon, but can they find a kill as well? And absolutely they can. The Volley Bear is going to fall down to light, doesn't find the hook that he's looking for, and now he's out of this one. Hextech Ultimatum comes in. There's the Realm Warp as well as Showmaker dives on top of yet another kill. He will fall down this time, but that is not before doing considerable damage to Fredit Breon. That is 4 dead in this fight. Damwon Kia with a huge win.
Yeah, Damwon Kia just took the free delivery that was given to them in this fight. As Fredit Breon were in a position to potentially dive Duck Dom. His ult went down, and then Frederick Brion decided, okay, we're going to hold on this blue buff because they thought they could win this fight because they had Realm Warp, but they could not. As we're going to see the Rift Herald get blown up here, but, you know, obviously this is going to be a kill onto Canyon as a result. But staying here instead of actually trying to collapse bottom side where Duck Dom is for a blue buff is just so high risk. And Damwon Kia at this stage of the game are well and truly online. Really nice satchel charge there from Duck Dom. But they have enough damage to actually win a skirmish like this when you don't have positional advantage. And then they commit to the Realm Warp. They feel so priced into this. And they really weren't. Like, they didn't actually have to lose more, but they did. And now Damwon Kia have such a lead in this one team fight. I mean, they're sitting at 2,300 advantage against a comp that needed to be so far ahead at 20 minutes. And now at 15, they're almost too far behind.
I mean, I want to know what Showmaker said to the Frederick Brion players in the locker room before the match, man, because Frederick Brion are all about killing Showmaker this game, and Damwon Kia are all about letting Showmaker die and killing all of Frederick Brion. That seems to be what they're totally okay with, and you don't blame them for it, because it's working out extraordinarily well.
I think this goes back to, this Rise pick goes back to, for me, something that was said by Valdez and Chronicler on the desk, in that in game one, we saw him on Corki. Lava is playing Corki, you know, low impact in the early game champion, but it's one he's familiar with, has like great late game scaling, but he doesn't get to show what he's been best at and what led his team to playoffs, which is champions like the Ahri, like the LeBlanc, where he gets skill expression through the early laning phase, the mid game, and the late game. And in this game on the Rise, he's once again kind of made these Realm Warp decisions. The roam we saw bottom early got the kills, but it wasn't clean, it wasn't perfect, and I feel like Lava can't express how strong of an assassin mid laner player he is on this champion, and I think Frederick Brion looks so different when he's trying to play the macro game and not the hands game.
Yeah, it's not quite working out so far. As we can see, Canyon just soloing out a Drake. Frederick Brion's control on the Dragons has dissipated at this stage of the game, and this is about where Damwon Kia took an iron grip to Summoner's Rift in game number one. It's happening once again as the satchel charge will obliterate the outer turret in the mid lane. Frederick Brion have so much vision on the top side of the map. Like, that's a million control wards, and yet there's not really much that Damwon Kia care about up there right now, outside of, I guess, their outer turret, which they're going to rotate over for now, but the Drake was just taken for free. They lose their outer turret in the mid lane.
And, you know, Rise is going to have to leave here. This is another thing that Frederick Brion are going to struggle with. This Rift Herald is actually going to connect this time around, looks like. Right?
Yeah.
Good satchel.
It's a nice little satchel. Is now Kellen rotating over. Bertle as well is on a ward. As Frederick Brion all grouped up as 5. Remember, they don't have that turret in the mid lane. Paranoia comes down. Lava is just absolutely destroyed. As the backflip was there, the shuriken landed, but Bertle just going to get himself out of the way. And the pick capability of Damwon Kia's comp is just absurd when they're this far ahead.
This is what I was talking about earlier. You have enough vision of somebody, you bomb them, you paranoia them, and they die. And that is exactly what happens here.
Yeah.
Bomb. Oh, it hit Rise. Well, he's dead. There's no discussion. There's no two ways about it. There's no counterplay here.
Yep.
And they almost get a second as Bertle tries to go deep in and take out Umpty. But man, this game is just so wide open for Damwon Kia now because they have such a massive lead on the champions who need to have it. And Ziggs, even though he had a rough start to the game and was dove, got an assist, now he's 1-1 and 6.
Here are our teleports. These are what these control wards were for. It's to kill Showmaker again, guys, of course. Delight's going to move on up, looking for the hook now. It is going to be depth charged down, but it's a decent spell shield from Canyon. He'll still die as Showmaker has to flash, and Morgan will get the prize that Frederick Brion so desperately won as he sacrifices himself to get on top of Doc Dom. Lava grabs that kill as well as he's tanky enough to tank up the turret.
Now, there was the Sunk Fallacy Realm Warp on the bottom side of the map, which didn't really work out, but this one was a hard commit that worked out swimmingly for Frederick Brion. They're going to shore up some of that gold deficit here in this game and find themselves only 2 kills behind now. And what I will say about Frederick Brion, nerves or no, they will commit.
Oh, yeah.
Does not know where Bertle is, but Bertle's not going to commit. But this is one thing that's really important in a best of 5 like this, is actually still having the ability to make tough calls. Yeah.
Umpty didn't have smite, so Bertle is going to be able to grab this one.
Making tough calls like this for Frederick Brion, even though sometimes they're not necessarily the right ones, when they are maybe you get ahead, maybe you get an advantage here. They're so far behind in this game, and they still make a call to do this. If this fails, and Damwon Kia get a few more kills, the game just ends. I mean, it may be already, you know, too far to catch up, but at least plays like this that work out for you as Fredit Brand, you can tell the comms are still flowing. This team is still communicating. This team is still trying to use their composition to make the plays they know they can do with this. They get
losing is a winning position for Fredit Brand, okay? We know this. We know this. If they're down, that is only giving them more power. But that is a few kills that they picked up. They're not able to get themselves a gold lead or anything like that. And the state of the map is still the state of the map that it was over the last little while. A lot of topside vision that's not necessarily able to be played around. And Fredit Brand need to start fighting for these Drakes, need to start getting themselves to a potential soul point or something like that.
Yeah, and in 2 minutes' time, we will have that fight. And for Fredit Brand, most critical thing is that they keep Henna alive, and he is not the one who gets hit by the bomb. The sixth bomb coming through, because a Mega Inferno Bomb hits him, and then he dies, there is no more damage. You mentioned this very succinctly earlier, like, the Rise doesn't really do damage. It's a tank Rise, and so if Aphelios is dead, Damwon Kia can just face roll the rest of the team fight. Like, Jace doesn't even need to be hit and poke. He could just go into melee form and run forward, and there's no stopping him. And that is what this comp is designed to do for Damwon Kia, is kill that backline AD carry.
Yeah, their single target focus is actually just insane. And compositions around, like, whether or not a Leona can find that, like, heroic engage. And that's exactly what this is from Damwon Kia. But now, every time Kellen goes in, finds that Zenith Blade and gets to the target, there is immediately Mega Inferno Bomb and a Paranoia that comes down. So it's like every single E that Kellen throws out is the best E he can possibly do.
Yeah.
Because the follow-up is just so easy from Damwon Kia if Canyon is anywhere near, if Dokdam is anywhere near.
So true. The other thing is that this Camille can't really side lane in this game because of the Paranoia. Can track him down so far away, so easily, it's just not safe to side lane. If he were massively ahead, we could have a different conversation, but with Morgan at the state of the game he's in right now, he cannot.
Well, Everfrost is going to connect that onto Kellen, but Eclipse is just going to tank 1 billion damage, and he's going to walk out absolutely pleased with the situation. Leona, everyone.
Yep.
Pretty good at face checking.
And it's tank Rise, so, you know, he did his combos, he was machine gunning, but it's not doing damage, unfortunately, at this stage of the game. And at any stage of the game, he just isn't going to be doing that. Not old Rise here we're watching.
Yeah, the combo is up. Fredit Brand have to be very, very careful as Morgan on a flank right now. Lava gets shuriken. He should be all right. Bouncing bombs not quite connecting. And here's the Paranoia. There's the solar flare into the backline. Henna is alive for the moment, but not for very long, as he just gets wiped out. The perfect execution, just beautiful. There from Bertle as well. It's a triple kill for Dokdam, and I think it's about time Fredit Brand started thinking about game 3.
Yep, this game is over, Atlas. So this was just once again a showcasing of what this comp could do, but also showcasing of how good our observers are and how they hit the vision of what Fredit Brand could and couldn't see. Because what the observers knew, which we also knew, but you know, if you're watching at home, it feels like you can feel the tension. Where's Kellen? Where's that bomb coming from? Where's Canyon going to ult on? And you can just see Fredit Brand, they're not in a position to do anything to hold onto the Drake tightly because they need this Drake. They can't walk away from it. They need to get ahead, and they're so far behind, so they don't have a choice. And Damwon Kia are like, well, Leona is wrapping around. Like this, let's watch it with the vision. As Showmaker and Kellen both wrap around the backside here. And Morgan is trying to zone Birdall out, but he actually probably should have been a little bit closer to the backside of his team because he needs to peel. Look at how little he does in this fight. Like, Morgan goes over the wall at the end of this fight and dies because he's just not able to make any impact. From Henna's perspective.
Yeah, Henna's perspective is this is impossible.
He's like, he just said, get out, get out, get out. And, you know, well, very few were able to get out, in fact. But,
he's like, I got 100 to 0. I can't do anything. And to be perfectly honest, I don't blame him because, like, look at what he's staring down. The fact that the flanking shock blast was there first felt a little bit like overkill. However, that's exactly what Damwon's composition is capable of doing. It's, look, hats off to Danny for putting this one together. And I think Fredit Brand need to try and rally, get towards that potential reverse sweep. Because this game is looking absolutely done and dusted.
Oh, it definitely is. Damage graph here shows the story. Like, Henna has 1/3 of Dokdam's damage. and 1/2 of Showmaker's damage.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gonna. It gets worse before it gets better, if it gets better at all. And I don't think it is, as Damwon Kia can just push so freely here with the Ziggs.
Oh my god.
Satchel charge up for Duck Dom. He's like, let me get that turret down to about 25%, and I'll just take it off the map.
Yep.
Just
There's a lot of vision, and that is going to be the flanking teleport coming through here. Paranoia comes down immediately, though, as Damwon Kia decides to start the fight before Morgan can even get here. Lava takes a lot of damage, gets underneath his turret, but has to flash. As it's a flash forward, Bertle taking a lot of damage. Henna now potentially unlocked as Morgan gets to the back line, but he'll just pop. Oh no! He manages to get into his stopwatch, but the Ziggs, the follow-up damage, the double kill already, as Umpty is down extraordinarily low, but he's not going to be able to commit to this fight anymore. Henna is still up and does have his Bloodthirst to complete. A Showmaker, yeah, he's just going to put the teddy bear back in the toy box. And Predaprion look for the Realm Warp play, but Showmaker's already out of there.
Yeah, he's already out of there. There's no follow-up here, unfortunately. And Predaprion keep their inhibitor turret alive here. Ziggs not able to actually satchel charge that one away just yet, but Predaprion lose out in every single regard. And what's cool about the Ziggs pick when it's ahead like this is it does both burst damage, as you can see here, but also extended damage with the Leandri's burn. And he's just continuing to hit these Qs. And as the balls keep landing into the side of Predaprion, they're burning down and taking so much damage. Morgan's flank here is just completely shut down by a fear from Canyon. Like, cool story, bro. Like, nice try. As most of the Ziggs damage just keeps hitting. It just keeps hitting, and it's just hitting over and over and over again. And unfortunately for Predaprion, there's no staying power here outside of the Aphelios. And when you've already lost your front line, Aphelios can't get into range.
Yeah. Umpty as well, not able to actually do anything there against Showmaker. And so now it's a 9,000 gold lead. Damwon Kia have 2 Ocean Drakes now, so we're a minute away from Soul Point for theoretically either team. But Damwon have all of the control of the map that they could ever need. And I'm really glad that you brought up the Ziggs, because he's so oppressive when you're ahead as well, because yes, he's got all that consistent damage, but he also has self-peel, he has peel for his teammates, and he has a billion AoE damage, like at any moment with the Mega Inferno Bomb, which is just absurd. And he also has his Zhonya's to boot, so he's not going to be taken down easily here by Predaprion.
If at all, for the rest of this game.
He's 7-2-8. Like, this 6 is just so big.
Also, 13 of 16 kill participation. Kellen right now is currently on a perfect game track for himself in terms of the KDA. He is still holding a stopwatch, so is going to be totally fine in any scenario. Could dive super deep. His engages have defined this game. His engage into Ziggs Bomb, into Canyon ult. It's a recipe for success if you're Damwon Kia. It's been working out so far. Now they can just group up and siege turrets. Why not? Just sit this one out and, you know, just sit on top of this turret, force Predaprion to group, and then walk back to your victory, Drakes. It's going to be the 3rd Ocean for them in a row. Not even great into this low-range comp for Predaprion. Like, a 4 Ocean Soul is always going to be good. But
I mean, they have a lot of poke, so like being able to have infinite mana and always being able to get your health back, if they can keep Predaprion at arm's length, it is only going to make it even more impossible.
Yeah, the health regen part of it's not important. The mana part, as you mentioned, is the more important one.
It's going to extend their 100% chance of winning this game to 100%, Wolf. It's insane.
And these are the types of oppressive games that both teams tried to play, and you could see Damwon Kia succeeded a lot more this time around. Their comp is a lot more well-rounded than the quirky comp we saw last game. And these are the nightmare games you play in a best-of-5 where Damwon Kia just are so oppressive, you're like, I don't know, can we ever beat this 3-time back-to-back LCK championship team that also has a world's title under their belt? It feels so terrible to play into this, and you're like, well, we have no angle here, but we still have to try. We still have to keep our wits about us. We have to go into game 3 with the right mindset. And Damwon Kia is like, I will tear your mentality to the ground. I will take all the vision away. I will take every control ward and every bush.
Yeah. It's one of these games, this really does test the mentality, right? Because Predaprion right now need to be thinking about game 3. They need to be thinking about what they need to adjust moving towards that next one. Because this game, it's unsalvageable. In my humble opinion,
I think we all agree.
Damwon Kia make an absolutely obscene throw. Predaprion, they can always try and rely on that flip or something like that, but I think they get killed on their way towards attempting it.
Serpent's Fang's up now too. I mean, this is so rough.
Yeah, Paranoia comes in. That's an immediate cleanse there from Henna, who's trying to get himself towards that backside, but Lava is left out to try. Morgan now does find Bertle towards the back line, but he's just going to backflip away. The Rise is going to get taken down as Doctorm is going to immediately flash, and Morgan just explodes. That flash was amazing from the Ziggs. It's going to be a double kill now for the Jace as well, as Delight will be taken down, and now Tanner versus the world. Red, white, don't fight, but oh my god, he's actually able to stay alive for so long, but the fear comes in, and that is the ace, and that may just be the game as they march up the mid lane.
We got to see what happens when Henna dies first in the team fight. The 80 carry is gone, the damage is gone. But Damwon Kia, they wanted to one-up that. They wanted to show what it looks like when Henna dies last in the team fight. And I guess at this point, with a massive 11,000 gold lead, the result is still just gonna be the same. As the Paranoia was actually really well executed, because at that moment, there's just nothing that Frederick Brion could do position-wise. They don't know if running to the south here is correct. They don't know if running to the east is correct. Like, what's the play you can make? And even though the engage isn't clean, they take our eyes out first.
Doctorm satchel charge in that moment. That's why he was over that wall, because he just stopped 3 people from following up. It was actually just incredible. Yeah, really well played. We mentioned the peel, right?
Ziggs has so much utility. And when you're this far ahead, he's got so much damage as they just collapse on and kill Aphelios in the end. The Paranoia was so great, though, because it allowed Damwon Kia to close the gap, then set up that satchel charge, zone everybody away. And that's a Baron that goes into their hands as well. Yeah. It almost feels like Damwon Kia are intentionally dragging this game out to really get into the minds of Frederick Brion, because they have great siege with this comp. They could be pushing a lot harder, but they're just going to play it safe, make sure they win this series, and also drag Frederick Brion's mentality down to the ground before Game 3.
There's no need to make any overextended plays. There's no need to rush this game at all. Damwon just going to grab this Baron after their reset, move towards this bottom side. The Ziggs is about as fed as you can possibly ever be, with his Void Staff, Rabadon's Death Cap, as well as that Leandri's, plus all the safety that the Zhonya's will afford him. Also room for some control wards, as this tower, not long for the world. Boom. Satchel to death. And yeah, he's got so much AP, like these towers, he doesn't need the execute. Maybe it's just an auto attack would be fine.
Exactly, the auto attack I think did more than the satchel execute. His empowered auto, of course, with his passive.
Yeah, his passive does make it even worse. Still,
it's pretty nasty now that the Baron waves.
Last item, rapid fire cannon. Let's do it. Make sure that we can get a little bit more auto damage and range for these turrets. Solar Flare is going to come through. Not exactly finding any joy, but you can search for these as Kellen as much as you want. On middle CC.
Don't want to dive these turrets. Just let the minions do the job. Yeah. Now the turret's down, you could absolutely see a harder engage here from Canyon.
Ooh, nice little backflip there from Bertle on the backside, fighting 3 right now, but the perfect execution gets him out. That's 2 inhibitors immediately. Bertle playing this one really nicely, and it's crazy thinking about the fact that his Akali did not work out at all the last time these two teams faced. But now he's able to stand his own as the Paranoia comes through. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. DDR being played here by Henna towards that back line as Bertle goes golden. Canyon now standing in front of Delight, and Delight just disappears after he goes golden. These Nexus turrets not long for the world because they just do so much damage to them. It's obscene. Henna ran out of any of his self-heal options, and now it's just Morgan on this bottom side. Umpty fighting against Doctorm, who's got his Zhonya's himself and a whole team of minions, and is able to satchel charge his way out. Takes down the Volley Bear as well, as Lava has to watch as his Nexus goes down. Game 2 also goes over to Damwon Kia. They now have match point.
Game 1, there was a shaky start. There were questions about the top matchup and how things were looking. It was like Canyon's really got to go to the bathroom. But in Game 2, it is a, from start to finish, extremely dominant performance. Even when the level 4 roam from Lava happened bottom side.